Hello there fellow modelers, and welcome to the Airfix 1/48 scale Jaguar GR.1 build. This is an amazing brand spanking new tool this year 2025 by Airfix. So a quick thing about the kit, it has this lovely new sublime surface detail on this that is just absolutely amazing. There's absolutely gorgeous cockpit detail in there, wheel well detail in there, you name it, this kit has got it. It's the best thing to come out of Airfix in a long time. So we're just going to begin to cut off all our pieces for the cockpit, just starting with the cockpit. And Tamiya's thin cement, the quick setting one, is a good one for getting this all together. You don't want to be sort of like putting glue on the piece and then bringing the two pieces together. It's more bring the pieces together, then glue it. Let that capillary action get in there, suck in there, and then it allows the plastic to sort of dissolve and make a really good solid join. Sometimes you might need to just press it down, or even come in with pegs to lock them down, and then you kind of get the glue in there. So that's the kind of the new way of doing some gluing. Now there was a bit of a breakage, I think, with the packaging, which is not a big deal. I mean, we could just get some of that Tamiya's thin cement on there and get that glued. So I've just quickly primed this with some Vallejo primer, where we're going to go off now and use a 50-50 mix with 048 dark sea grey. This is going to be the interior colour and main base colour. We're going to be around about 18 psi ish in a 50-50 mix. We start off with that light misty coat and move along to kind of put proper coats on. It's just so as when we put our proper coats on, that misty coat allows it to stick better to the model. As you can see, our base is ready. Now we're going to come in with Citadel's Null Oil, a little bit of a different way now of painting cockpits, right? This is going to be a wash that we apply, and it's going to go into all the nooks and crannies, and it's just going to bring that detail out. But we kind of need to tidy up a bit, so I'm coming back with our cockpit colour, kind of thinning it down to like a nice consistency where you're not going to see brush strokes, but you've got good coverage. And we're just going to paint all them flat spots, all them unneat bits that's been left over from the wash, right? Hopefully, as you can see there, just to neaten it all up and just really sort of highlight all those, well, not highlight, but kind of bring out all those detail areas, all those shadows. And then we're going to come in with another coat of the same color, but we're not going to get so close to the edges. We're going to come out a bit, and this is going to sort of feather it in. It's going to make it look darker and darker into the shadows and lighter into all your flatter areas, kind of giving that illusion of shadows. We're going to come in with some medium sea grey. This is going to be good for doing highlights now. This is where we're just going to sort of touch sort of raised areas where light would touch, even like the hoses, buttons, dials, just anything that's just going to, bring that detail out even more, giving us like light and shadows. So as you can see, with all that done, it really brings it all out. It's a nice different way than what I normally do. And then I'm going to seal that in with a gloss coat, GR.1A. And we're then going to be ready for putting down some decals, which you'll see in a bit, but it kind of goes a little bit wrong. But I'm just cutting out the big raised bits, because these decals, they're not gonna conform to those big raised bits that we have in this cockpit. But I'll start off with micro sole, and then I'm just removing those parts of the decal that was going to go over the raised bits, and we lay that down carefully, try and get it positioned right, and again whack some more micro sole on top of that. We use straight in with the micro sole because we really need it to conform. Now it did work on the instrument display panel, hopefully, as you can see here, but inside the cockpit, it just, because you got these lines that seem to kind of show the boxes, they just didn't go straight. I mean, there was too much going on, so I removed them. Now it might be a little bit tricky to remove them, so a bit of micro set, right, will help sort of rehydrate and allow you to remove those decals. And I decided to just paint them after that, which hopefully you can see, just a quick bit of paint, a bit of white paint, yellow paint, red paint, just to bring out those dials. Pretty much the same with the ejector seat as well, which I used a panel line wash, the 1600 on that. Now on the internal wheel wells, I'm using chrome yellow, MIGS 221, and then I'm using a filter, like this is like a nice green filter, 1508 by MIG, and that's just a nice easy wash, and we can just then mattify everything. Now there's going to be some glossy areas like dials and stuff, so you know, because everything's been mattified, I just want to gloss them up just to kind of, you know, create a bit more for our piece of cockpit there, which hopefully you'll agree it's not a bad way of doing it. I do really like it. It takes a bit more time and a bit more of a steady hand, but it's a nice way of doing it. So we can now glue this together. I'll start gluing one side, but then Tamiya cement, which is the thicker glue, I'm kind of like putting the glue on first, you know, pretty sort of thick, and then we can just press that together so that we get the opposite side glue, because we can't actually reach it. Now when we come to bring this together, I always like to just make sure we've got no steps or anything like that. You know, we're just placing pegs in those strategic points. I mean, sometimes we get gaps and they can just be resolved by whack a peg there, seals it in, and when it's all together, then we can come along and add the Tamiya Extra Thin cement. Now we've got these two halves here, and I just wanted to test fit this first, making sure it's going to fit. As you can see, something's blocking it. We've got some ejector pin marks in there, you know, normally a culprit for those kind of gaps. We just want to sand that away, coarse sanding stick, nothing else, and there we go, the gap has disappeared. So we can basically peg that down and glue it in position. Because of the way this was, I did kind of decide, you know what, I'm gonna glue the front end first, make sure that kind of dries, and then I'd go off and glue the rest of the model. You might need some big clamps than just using pegs for this one. And as you can see, that Tamiya Extra Thin cement, it really does kind of suck in there and glue it together. Now the cool thing about this kit, we get lots of jigs, so I'm just very lightly, just a little bit of glue just to tack it so I can place it on the jig, and then we apply the glue, which I'm trying to keep away from the jig, right, because I don't want our air intake to glue to the jig. And once that's kind of, you know, gone, you know, off a bit, we can then glue down by where the jig was. We're just going to drill some holes now. When drilling, I do like to make sure, like, I drill one side, then I come the opposite side, use my nail just to push down the flash, and then I drill through the opposite side. It just gives you a neater drill. But this, you know, coming back to the fit of this kit, this is normally, when you glue wings together like this, it's normally a bit of a problem. There's normally a bit of a fit, but it just fell together beautifully. Even put in the wing section to the fuselage, I thought that was going to be a problem. It just fits so beautifully. Now coming to doing that filling, sanding, and scribing, if we've got a pylon here, there's no point going off and filling, sanding, and scribing that there. There's going to be a pylon on it, don't bother with it. I'm going to start with the green putty. This was a good fit kit, so I mean, I really didn't need much of this green putty here. I'm just a little touch up here and there where there's a bit of a gap, right? I'm just making sure that it goes into the gap rather than just pasting it on the surface. A little tip here as well, you've got these skinny sanding sticks, right? You know, once they get a bit worn on the ends, just cut them off, and it's like you get a bit of a fresh one, because we normally kind of really sand away the edges a bit. Mr. Surfacer, this is a good one as well. We can paint this on, you know, these are kind of like micro gaps, by the way, nothing major, right? But they're still visible, you know, because it's like a nice paint on paste. It really kind of just gets those micro gaps, and we could begin the sanding process where we want sponging sanding sticks. We want to start with like a medium, going into medium, fine, you know, and polishing it up, right? And as you could see, you know, that's looking pretty good now. So on to a little bit of quick scribing, which we didn't need much. It's the key here with freehand is just rotate the model. You know, don't really kind of move your P cutter. It's the model. Your hand with the P cutter is your stable platform. And now we have a bit of a gap where we put the air intake, which is probably the only thing on this kit that needed some real work. So, you know, I'm just kind of gluing this on first, and we'll deal with that gap in a bit. But as you can see, lovely fit on the rear end. The instructions do actually say, you know, get some pegs down on this front end, and it does lock that in and gives you, the rear part was an absolute brilliant fit, no problems at all. The rear bit, I mean, you know, maybe a bit of the Vallejo putty technique, and I did decide actually, you know, a bit of clamps would have done better than pegs. But there we go, this is the end of part 1. Hopefully you're going to look forward to part 2 coming next week. Please do go over and visit the Genesis Models website, where you can view and see loads more videos like this one, as well as other videos and loads more. So as always, until next time, my name's Bob Waldron, this is Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.